Good morning. Welcome to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. Great to have you with us on this beautiful day outside. It's a Wednesday. It's nice out. It's hot, but hey, that's Houston in the summer. We've got your HCC news and information for the next half hour. Stick around with us. Carolina Linares is my co-host this morning. Good to see you again, Carolina. How's it going this morning?
It's good. It's so good to be back. I was here yesterday, and I love it every time you call me in to co-host.
Well, we're glad to have you with us. You know, Carolina, last time I saw you in person, it was real quickly. We were running by each other at Memorial Park. It was it was about a month or so ago. Are you planning on getting out there anytime soon?
Absolutely. So recently I have some knee problems. I'm trying to get into the workout first, but I've been running regularly for a couple months ago, and I've been getting better. That whole loop for Memorial, it's awesome.
It's beautiful out there. And so we've got a special guest you'll want to hear from later on this morning. Before we do, I want to remind everyone, you're watching us now on Facebook Live and YouTube. We appreciate you joining the live show. If you happen to miss the live show, we have a number of options. First and foremost, we're back on HCC TV. The rebroadcast of Up to the Minute every weekday is at noon and 5 p.m. And Carolina, they can also find us in social media as well.
Yes, we're actually on most of the platforms out there as Houston Community College District. So if you're watching on Facebook, please share this podcast so we can grow our audience. We're also on YouTube, LinkedIn, Snapchat, even Twitter. So please check it out.
That's right. Okay, Carolina, sit back. We'll check in with you in a little while. And when we get to our running guests, maybe if you have a question or two, you can throw those out there as well.
Okay, will do.
All right, we'll check in with you later. We've got two guests, as we mentioned. Our guest who joins us twice a month, talk about fitness and specifically getting out there to run. He's a former HCC student, a graduate of HCC. He's now in the San Francisco Bay Area. Dr. Christopher Segler, foot and ankle surgeon. He's known as Doc-on-the-Run. Good morning, Chris.
Hey, good morning. How are you today, Todd?
Doing good. Are we talking blisters today, Chris?
Yeah, blisters. Nobody wants them. It seems like if you run, you're going to get them. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about those today.
Okay, and how to avoid them. So we'll talk about those in a little while. Stick around, Chris. We'll be with you shortly. Big announcement in the last week here at Houston Community College. Of course, we're welcoming back one of our own. She's currently the Vice President of Student Services with Northern Virginia Community College, and she's the incoming president for HCC's Southeast College. Good to see you again, Dr. Frances Villagran-Glover. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you, Todd, so much. You know, I'm still a big fan of HCC TV. Even when I left HCC, I still followed you guys on social media. And I was really so excited that you continued the efforts during COVID. So at home, anywhere you were hosting HCC TV. So thank you so much for having me this morning. I'm excited to rejoin our HCC family.
Well, we're excited to have you here. Thanks for following us while you're up there in Northern Virginia. We are certainly excited about having you back. And, you know, from what I heard during your interview when you were interviewing for the job in the forum, you really never left Houston. Even though you're working in Northern Virginia, Houston's still your home.
Right. It sure is. And, I'm a Texas native. And one of the funny stories I'd love to share is, when I interviewed for the Associate Vice Chancellor position in 2017, they asked me why I wanted to come back. And of course, it's the students, always first the students. Sure. The secondary was HEB and Whataburger. So I'm one of those big fans. And so probably Chris is like, that's probably not a good runner diet, but, I kind of cheat a little bit at Whataburger.
You can't beat Whataburger or HEB. They're both phenomenal.
So my family is still here. My husband works for HISD actually, and my children are actually going to go to HCC. So I've been doing enrolled student. I'll have a first year student at HCC, and then also a student going through the medical program. So you can say my whole family is infused, and I really believe in what HCC has to offer for our students and their families and our community.
A lot of times when you bring people in from across the country to HCC, specifically to one college, they're not familiar with the part of town. They've got to learn about it. They've got to catch up to really what the demographics are in the area. But you know all about the Southeast College. You've lived in Houston. You worked for HCC in the past. You were one of our ABCs. What makes the Southeast College and the people who go to the Southeast College and work there so unique?
Right. And so I can explain, I'm a Texas native and I grew up similar to a neighborhood of our Southeast community, and I think the beauty of Houston is really, really big, right? But in itself, it's really a community. And we saw that. I was really reflecting this morning. Can you believe it's almost been 4 years since Hurricane Harvey?
I know. Yeah.
And so just the essence of that community, of that, Houston strong, and really the community members, the people that live in Southeast area, how we came together after Hurricane Harvey, after the ice storm, even during COVID. And I think it fits very well with our core values of the community building and engagement, and our community partners, our K-12 partners are integral to our student success. And I think I'm really excited. I want to give kudos and a shout out to the interim president of the Southeast, Matt Garza, and the whole team at Southeast. I've been in conversations with him throughout this process. And, these are exciting things that are happening with the STEM programs, with our partnerships with the U of H, and, all those programs that we're building to make sure that our community grows and thrives and flourishes. So really excited to be part of that partnership.
You mentioned Hurricane Harvey, and I know you were on the team that was really leading HCC during that disaster and the recovery efforts. What did you learn from preparing and dealing with Hurricane Harvey that you were able to use now in this whole event of COVID that we've been in for the last 16 months?
Yeah. So, March 13th of 2020, when we all had to shut down, right?
Yeah.
And, I wrote the chancellor, I wrote my colleagues that we worked together after Harvey, and I thanked them because what we learned in Harvey really built a stronger infrastructure and crisis management plan, because we're all under, a crisis management process. And I think some of the things we learned, especially with our students in our community that we knew all along, but really were exasperated during Harvey as well as COVID, is that the supports that our students need. Right. Our students' time is valuable, and also the resources that we have within the Houston community. I think that's what's so great about Houston, is that our partnerships with our community-based organizations. So, if students have, challenges with food insecurity, transportation, housing, we have those strong partnerships with our community-based organization to connect our students with. Tuition is just one of the expenses our students have, but really working with our external partnerships and bringing together that holistic student support.
Well, you're coming to HCC at a good time, even though we're in the midst of a pandemic. Really, we have more ways of funding our students' tuition than we've ever had with the HERF funding, which I know you're very familiar with that. HCC has about $59 million. We're trying to get that out there to our students. Obviously, that's got to play a big role in what your efforts are going to be in getting that money to the students, making sure they know about it, but also preparing them for the fall 2021 and beyond.
Right. And I think, let's be honest, without the whole country of higher education, a lot of our students have stopped out, right? Have said, what, I'm exhausted. I got to provide for my family. I lost my job. My mom and dad lost my job. And, our financial aid team at HCC are doing phenomenal work in letting our students who are eligible for those HERF fundings, and that's student emergency aid that's going directly to our student support, whether they need for, like you said, books, transportation, daycare is also a big issue with many of our students, even pre-COVID and pre-Hurricane Harvey, and making sure that we utilize and leverage those funds and let our students know. So it starts with obviously conversations we have with our faculty members, with our advisors, and letting students know this is your money and how can we better support you using that HERF money, because we want to get our students back on track. We want them to make successful and continue on to their academic dreams and pathways along getting a degree and also getting a great job to support their family.
I understand you have something unique on your schedule in October called listening tours. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, it's just what it is, Todd, right? And I think, just listening and getting to know and reconnecting with my colleagues, with the students on the campuses, this will be when we go back on campus, we have 2 classes of students who have never set foot on our campuses. Some classes were face-to-face, but for the majority, they are virtual. And really getting to know our students, what their needs are, what their voices, and elevating the student voice, as well as connecting with our faculty and making sure that they have the support they need inside and outside the classroom.
Engaging community members, you have some plans there as well?
Oh, definitely. We cannot do it. We cannot be successful. We cannot support our students or even our faculty without our partnerships and our relationships with our community-based organizations, the Houston Food Bank, the local churches, the local community members. We have a big, veteran population in Houston, and connecting with our veteran community-based organizations and making sure that we leverage all our opportunities. That what our goal is to ensure that our students and their family members are successful.
Dr. Frances Villagran-Glover, she's the incoming president for HCC Southeast. You probably recognize her. She was in ABC here before. It's so good to have you back. We're excited for you. And I know October can't come quick enough for you.
Oh, me neither. I look forward to seeing you in person, guys. Carolina, Todd, Nathan, Chris. I'll be listening on those blister advice. So thank you guys so much. You have an awesome day, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. And great news. Okay, folks. So we're going to move on to Dr. Chris Segler. Chris is a foot and ankle surgeon, and he's also a former HCC student. He's a graduate many years ago. He's known now as the Doc-on-the-Run. Chris, welcome back to the show. Good to see you again. I think last time you were on, I was on vacation, but I heard I had a very great substitute who filled in for me.
That's right. So we missed you, but it was a good show. And we talked a lot about blister prevention back then. And, but before we start, I just have to say, I will never argue with the president of the division of the university. That is for sure. And, with my son, Alex, we just the other day had a discussion in the car about Whataburger and about how, in California, we have In-N-Out Burger. In Texas, we have Whataburger. And in Tennessee, when we go there, we go to Crystal. And none of those are any, I don't think any dietitian that works with runners would suggest any of those as refueling options. However, trust me, if I had $1 for each time I've been to one of those places, I could have paid my medical school tuition. So it's okay.
I know. Yeah. All three of those places are great. Can't talk enough about them. Okay, Chris, we're going to talk blisters today. Blisters, as if you're a runner, if you walk a lot, you get them. They can be a huge problem. They can really cripple you and take you out.
This is true. I mean, a blister is a small thing, and we joke about them, being, oh, what, you got a blister? But the truth is like you see people during races, right? I mean, they are really hobbling because of some little blister. Now, we all want to prevent them, but everybody gets blisters. I even get blisters occasionally, and clearly I know what to do about it. So knowing and doing are two different things. And the fact is that, at some point in your training, at some point during a race, something's going to get missed. Something's going to go wrong. You're going to wind up with a blister. And then you're really stuck trying to figure out what should I do with it so it doesn't really ruin the rest of my training, ramping up for the Houston Marathon, or what do I do so that I don't have to limp from mile 18 all the way, down Allen Parkway to the finish?
Yeah, I know last time I had a huge blister, I reached out to you. It was after Ironman in 2018, and it more or less covered one of the pads in my foot. And I was about to pop it, and you were like, wait, let's talk about that. Don't pop it. But that's something you really need to look at, because most tendency is let's just pop that thing, get it over with. But that's not really the best solution all the time.
Yeah, there are a couple of considerations. So the first thing is you have to think about what your goal is. And, we always want to take action. We want to fix something, right? And, you stick a needle in it, drain it, push the fluid out. You think you fixed it, but all you did was drain the fluid out and created a hole where the bacteria on your skin that's always there and which completely normal can actually get inside and get into that fluid in that dead space and start to cause an infection. So the first consideration is, popping it creates the possibility of infection. And before you pop it, there's no possibility of infection because there's no way for the bacteria to get in. It's sealed. It's sterile.
Right. And so, if you can ride it out without popping it, that's the way to go.
Short story is yes, that is exactly it. So if the blister is small and you can prevent it from, getting worse, like if you get a blister and it's really small and it's really not bugging you that much, it is definitely better to leave it alone because the fluid will reabsorb, it'll flatten out, it will heal without getting infected, and it'll faster, it will actually turn into a callus, and it'll heal faster. You'll be back to running faster if you don't actually drain it. When you drain it, like let's say you have a huge blister, you're running and there's a blister covering the entire ball of the foot, like, a huge thing. I've had that before too after an Ironman race. And if you drain it, then what happens is that you push all the fluid out right then, but you still have fluid in that layer. So it's very, very slippery, and it actually moves a lot, and you get a lot of shearing forces that really aggravates it. and it can take longer to heal. So if you're actually in the middle of a race and it's so debilitating that you're just concerned about finishing the race, it's probably best actually to stop at an aid station, have one of the medical personnel drain it, cover it with some tape or some moleskin or something to actually keep it from moving, and you'll be better off for the remainder of the race. Now, it will take a little bit longer to actually heal at that point, but at that moment, your goal is to really finish the race without, doubling your marathon time. And it's not so much about the recovery afterward because you'll be done with your race. And, so that's one thing. Now, the other is that if you notice a blister, but it's not killing you and you've make it through the race, well, then you don't really want to drain it afterward because you've got a lot of time to actually let it resorb and heal so you can actually get back to your recovery process and training after the event a lot better. So, it is a sort of a balance between how fast it heals, how much it hurts, and what your goal really is.
You had sent me before, and I know you've talked prevention of blisters before, but one time you sent me a couple of pairs of special socks. Is that a trick that you can try to wear certain types of socks to prevent blisters? I know usually they have 2 layers that can rub together. Is that something that you suggest?
That's right. So blisters are all about friction. It's about the material moving past your skin and basically causing shear forces or abrasions on the skin that separate the layers of skin, and then you get fluid accumulating in between them and you get a blister. So, some of the socks that are marketed as blister prevention socks, some of them actually offer a money back guarantee. They say, buy the socks, use them for a month or 6 months or whatever. And if you get a blister, send them to us, we'll give you your money back. And that's a pretty solid guarantee. And, you can do other things though. So you don't, if you, like I get really hot all the time. And so, in fact, if I remember right, you said something about I was a princess because I get so hot when we're in the car together. And I think I still have a princess.
He'd make me park under a tree with shade so his seat didn't get too hot. So that's kind of
to this day, since, I now have a sign that says princess parking only. So don't worry.
We got you that.
Yeah. But, the thing is that if you don't like that, it's hot in Houston, let's face it. Like I love to, come and run there for a few days, but when it's 85% humidity and it's 90 something degrees, well, it's hot. And so if you don't want to wear 2 pairs of socks because it just seems like too much for you, well, you can actually put some skin lubricant on that area where you're prone to blisters, and that will really decrease the propensity for that. It makes a big difference. But one of the big things to remember is that when you get that blister and you're freaked out and you're trying to get through your race and everybody's running by and you've got your shoe and your sock off and you're trying to figure out what to do, if you put something over it to cover it, the goal is to make sure that you decrease the friction at that spot.
Okay.
So if you put cloth tape, that seems like a good idea, but that tape actually, it's kind of abrasive.
Yeah.
Because it has those woven fibers. So instead, if you have a plastic bandage that is, just feels slippery to the touch, then your sock and your shoe underneath the blister is going to slide a lot better. And it's actually going to irritate it a lot less as you continue to run. So think slippery, no abrasion. That's what you're looking for to decrease that friction.
I want to bring Carolina in because Carolina's a runner as well. As I mentioned, we saw each other at Memorial Park. Carolina, you got any running questions you want to throw out there for Dr. Chris?
Well, no, I'm just taking out the options that I have. It's just like, it comes to my mind, like if it's slippery, like how am I going to grip into those shoes so I don't feel that like I'm slippery when I'm running?
Well, that's a good point, but you're only doing one small area of it. Now, there's a special kind of patch called PTFE patches that you can put on a shoe insert where you get blisters all the time. And I've had lots of runners ask me, say, well, why can't we just cover the whole bottom of the insert with that material so I don't get blisters anywhere? Well, you have to have friction. Otherwise, you're going to slide into the end of the shoe and you'll have black toenails from getting bruising under the nails. So when you do it in just one small area, it just decreases a little bit of the friction in that area, but the rest of your foot's still pretty secure. So even though it seems like it would make it slippery and it would make your shoe feel loose, it doesn't generally do that.
So Chris, next time we see you, what do you have up for us next?
Yeah, some runners love it. Some runners hate it. But we're going to talk about weight training and how some time in the gym can really help all of us as runners actually have better run performance.
Yeah, I hear about that all the time. Yeah, can't say I'm a big fan of it, but we'll learn about it next time Dr. Segler is here to join us. His Chris Segler, he's a doctor, a foot and ankle surgeon known as Doc-on-the-Run. Chris does have a newsletter with some tips that you can get for free. We will put the social media, his information for his social media and his website in the social media post for the show. Thanks for being here, Chris. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right, Carolina, we're going to move on to our HCC news and announcements, starting with our August community learning events.
Yes, Todd, we want to remind our viewers of a new round of community learning programs approaching. And coming up soon, we have the Scams and Disasters. This is for ages 50 and up. It's disaster preparedness. It's at from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Actually today. So there's still time to register to go. You can register at hccs.edu/community learning.
MBDA subs and sandwiches, they're happening. Yes, HCC's Minority Business Development Association is still getting together to target minority business enterprises. Bring your own subs, though, because they're virtual nowadays. Happening today, actually, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll have the link in the social media post. And also later today, Chef Katie Ronhell is holding a pie making session online.
That's so interesting. HCC Central's Culinary Arts Department continues its partnership with India House with the free culinary classes. And the final installment is apple crumb pie. So like you said, by Chef Katie from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. today. So there's still time to join. We will have the Facebook link to register on our post, and you can check the HCC events calendar to register as well.
If you could think of one of the most famous people on local Houston TV, it would have to be Mattress Max. He's everywhere. Gallery furniture saves you money. Well, guess what? He's partnered with HCC and HCC's Northwest Center for Entrepreneurship. They're presenting the Mattress Max School of Selling with 6 free, that's right, free virtual sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Next up, 10 a.m. to noon tomorrow, August the 19th, caring customer service. Big thing for Mac. So if you want to learn how to sell from one of the best, we'll have a link in the social media post for the show where you can join them and get some training there. Also, advancing adult innovation. What's that all about, Carolina?
Well, we want to congratulate the HCC's Adult Education and Literacy for being recognized by the Advancing Innovation in Adult Education project. This was funded by the U.S. Department of Education, and HCC is one of 9 practices selected nationally and will be featured in a national dissemination effort. And that's including a showcase webinar, a press release, and outreach by email and the social media. So we'll have the link to see the profiles in our post after the show.
Okay, withstand Latin art during times of conflict. 2 HCC artists are featured in the Holocaust Museum Houston exhibition on resistance and its ramifications in the visual arts. Angel Castellan, instructor, and Jacques Garcia, graduate, are both in the show, while Gabriela Magana, an honors college graduate here at HCC, curated the exhibit. It runs now through September 2021. We'll have some more information in our social media post. Hey, if you're going to class in the fall, we are registering for the fall right now. Go to hccs.edu/now to register. But keep in mind, all classes or most classes are going to be remote for at least 4 weeks, Carolina.
Yes, just like the chancellor announced, most of the classes will return to remote now, the traditional online classes without the scheduled lectures. And you have to take into account those lab classes that are hands-on, like you said, the medical ones, and all these really hands-on classes are going to still be face-to-face. But I'm pretty sure with all the precautions that we all know. There is online on a schedule, so most of those are also remote now.
Yeah, so keep in mind, if you signed up for in-person classes, we're still hopefully going to have them later in the semester. But for the time being, at least for the first week of classes, they will be online on a schedule. So keep that in mind. When you do return to the classrooms, they're going to be very small classes to follow CDC guidelines. The main thing, to get the funding you need, we have a lot of emergency funds available to pay fully for your college tuition. Go to hccs.edu/now, get started today, and register. Okay, so tomorrow on the show, we've got a very special guest, Carolina.
We will welcome HCC Convocation student speaker and Bold Ideas pitch winner, Kenisha Friend, founder of Hair Bloom Co., a collective of maternal services for expectant and postnatal mothers.
And we'll also speak with Marissa Guest from Moody Gardens, Galveston. They'll tell us everything that's going on. Moody Gardens, great place to visit. It's happening. You know, it's going to be busy this weekend. So they'll tell us about everything you can see down there because it's Thursday, Virtual Family Fun Day tomorrow. Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday for those of you keeping score. Okay, so we're going to wrap up the show. If you don't catch us live on Facebook or YouTube, remember we're on HCC TV at noon and 5 p.m. every weekday. I'm Todd Duplantis. She's Carolina Linares. We'll see you tomorrow live right here on Up to the Minute.